Hello and happy International Accounting Day. My name's Jackie and today is a Sage 50 Accounts First. We're actually delivering our first interactive Sage 50 Accounts quiz. So thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully today we're going to be able to test your knowledge, teach you a thing or two and have some fun along the way. So it's great to see so many of you joining us today. Now, for those of you who are not new to webinars and are regulars, you may notice something different today. Not only am I joined by Michael, but we are also live on camera from Newcastle today, and we are just a couple of desks apart, just in case I keep looking over, making sure he's live on camera. Now, myself and Michael have been running our weekly webinars for just over a year now, and during that time, we have built up a list of regular attendees. And we have received feedback around the personal touches. So we just thought, what better way to celebrate the 1-year mark and International Accounting Day than to reveal the faces behind the names and the voices that you're used to hearing. Okay, so if this is your first webinar, however, welcome. So we certainly hope it isn't going to be your last one. Over the next few months, we do have some really exciting topics, both new and old, for you to join in with. So first of all, we are going to do some housekeeping. And for those of you who are regulars, this is slightly different today with it being the quiz. So please do listen in. So first of all, you will still be placed on mute. And that's normal. That's normally what we would do. And that's just so that you can't speak to us directly during the session, just so the session will continue to flow. Now, we do still have the questions panel open today, but we are only going to really use that for the quiz today. So if you do have any questions, please do hang on till the end, submit your questions at the end, and we'll get those answered for you. So today, use the questions panel only if you're experiencing any technical issues, or if you're answering the questions throughout the session today. Now the handout as well, you're probably used to having a handout on these sessions. Again, is not available just yet. We will upload this towards the end of the session because it does have lots of useful links in there. However, it also has all the answers in. So we've decided we will upload that towards the end of the session. So if you do want the handout with all those useful links, just keep hanging on till the end and we will upload that for you shortly. We do still have Tina in the background. So Tina is available for any questions should you need them, if you've got any technical issues, etc. So please do submit those across. Okay, so quickly I'll just go through the format for today's session. So first of all, there are 13 questions in total. There's 3 rounds of questions. The first one's going to have 5 questions. The following 2 will have 4 questions each. And for these, we are going to use the poll feature. So if you have joined us in the past, we've used it to gain a lot of insight. We're going to be using this very heavily today. One of the questions will be using the questions panel, and we're just asking you to pop a guess in there. After each round, we will run through the answers and we will pop in some demonstrations as well to support those answers as well. And just to reiterate, there are no prizes for winning. However, you may be aware that as an attendee to one of our sessions today, you will be entered into a prize draw for some Sage merchandise. Okay, so please, nice healthy competition, but there's not going to be any winners. There's not going to be any prizes for highest marks. So don't go too seriously on there. Okay, so just to give you an overview first of all before we start. There is 3 rounds for today's session. We've got general processing, which is number 1. Round 2 is VAT. And then round 3 is the latest version of your software. Okay, so we are going to turn the cameras off now just to take the pressure off. But it's been fabulous to introduce ourselves. It's great to see that there's some feedback there as well. And again, at the end of today's session, if you do have any feedback on the content or anything that we've covered today, please do submit that. We're trying different things to try and change these up a little bit, so any feedback is welcome. Okay, so I'm going to take you through round 1. Okay, so fingers on buzzers, and like I say, it is the polls that we're going to be using for this. And I'm just going to pop the first one on the screen. So first round is all around general processing. Just launching that now. Okay, so question 1 is, what feature allows you to take a read-only copy of your data to return to for reporting purposes at a later date? So is that the backup? Is it the clear audit trail, the data management tool, or the company archive? So if you have managed to join us on our year-end webinars, it is something we've covered in there, but don't be alarmed again. Just give it a go if you're not sure on the answer there. So votes are starting to come through. There is sometimes a slight delay on this, and we would like to try and get around 70% of you interacting before we'll close down each answer. Fabulous. And they're coming through thick and fast now. Fabulous. A few more moments. And if you haven't joined one of our year-end webinars, then they are available as a recording on our website. So please do check that out. And we're approaching the 70% mark. So I am going to close that poll. And what I am going to do is just share the responses, not the answers just yet. We'll leave that to Michael. So just to show you what the responses were there. And again, we're not picking anyone out there. We just want to show what different people are thinking. So we've got 13% thinking it is a backup. We've got 5% clear audit trail, 16% management tool, and 65% company archive. So Michael will cover that a little bit later on for you. So we're going to go on to question 2. So question 2 is a true or false question. Just waiting for that to load. And again, very similar. We're looking at year end. True or false, you cannot enter transactions into a new financial year without running your financial year end. So again, if you've been on our year end session, we do address this early in the session because this is a question around year end. So true or false on this one, you can't enter transactions into a new financial year without running the year end. And again, the votes are coming through thick and fast. And again, a little bit of a split on there. So hopefully we'll be able to put this to rest for you today. So again, we've just hit 90% of you joining in there. So I'm just going to close that down. And again, don't worry if you haven't managed to put your answer in. It's no problem at all. And I'll just share the results there. So on this one, 91% of you believe that that is false and 9% of you think that was true. So Michael will cover that in just a moment there. Swiftly moving on to number 3. That should be on the screen there now. So lock date can be used to prevent users backdating transactions. But which menu would you use to set this up? Would you be looking in settings? Would you be looking in tools, file, or modules? Now again, we do a session on lock date. So if lock date is a new term to you, it may be a session that you want to join us for. We do have a recording available of that one as well. And again, votes are starting to trickle through there. Again, if you're not sure, just pop in a guess. Certainly won't be checking up on the answers afterwards, so don't worry. And we're approaching 60%, so if you can get your votes across there. Fabulous. So we've just hit nearly 80%. So I'm just going to close that one down, and we've got a little bit of everything here again. So I'm just going to close and share. So the majority of you think it's in the settings menu. 36 of you have think it's in the tools menu. A few are saying the file menu, 3%, and 2 in the modules listing. So this is our last poll for this particular round. We've got 2 questions left, but our last poll for this round. And again, we've got another true or false for you. Just going to launch this one again. True or false, you must run a clear audit trail after running your year end. So we've picked a few features that would impact the most businesses today. So they do tend to be very sort of year-end themed today, but we do know that lots of customers will be going through the same routines on a yearly basis. So just want to know, is it true or false that you must use a clear audit trail after a year end? And again, we've got a session alone on clear audit trail. So we've got lots of content that's out there. So another recording to catch up on if you haven't seen that one just yet. And that's hit 80% there. So I'm just going to share that again. So close and share. And on this one, 21% of you have said true and 79% of you have said false on there. Okay, so question 5 is the question that we're going to use the questions panel for. So at this point, this is where Tina is going to go wild. She's going to get lots of questions coming through there. So the question I just want to ask you is, How many transactions do you need to have in your software to activate the data management tool? Okay, data management tool is a feature that has been released in the most recent version of the software, so don't be alarmed if you haven't heard of it before, but we do just want to know how many transactions being the key word, you would need to have it activated in your software. If you have no idea, that's absolutely fine. Pop it into the questions panel, pop a guess in there. Don't worry, we will reveal all very soon for you. So if you can't find the questions panel, it is the icon that looks like a speech bubble with the question mark in on the side. And they're starting to come through there. Excellent. Okay. And we'll wait for a few more. Oh, there's quite a range already. Excellent, very interesting. But don't worry if you're not sure and you're just popping a guess in. We're going to reveal what this feature is. It might be something, yeah, there's a few things, no idea. It might not be something you're aware of. That's what today is all about, is showing you some of the features you weren't quite sure were there in the first place. So we've gone from 1 to 1 million. So great, we've got such a great range there. Really interesting to see. Fabulous. There's one to say we can only see the question 4 poll answers. Yes, this is just a slightly different question. There isn't a slide for this particular one, but Michael will show this in just a moment. So just a verbal question for this one. Okay. Fabulous. So we've got lots of answers coming through, and like I say, we've got a huge wide range. Lots of people saying no idea, so that's fine, no problem. Michael will reveal all in just a moment. So I'm going to hand over to Michael now. He's just going to go through the answers for those 5 questions, and I'll be taking over very soon to reveal the results of round 2. So over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Jackie. Right. Okay, so let's start running through some of the answers. So round 1 is all about general processing. First question, what feature allows you to take a read-only copy of your data to return to for reporting purposes at a later date? Now, a number of you went for the backup option, but actually the option we're looking for is the company archive. Now, it is something that you can create as part of the year end. It's one of the little options that you'll see within the software when you run through the year end, but you can also create one at any time as well. Now, a company archive means that you're not having to sit and restore that into your data and overwrite your live company. It just sits there in the background, so you can switch to a company archive at any point. Really useful if you need to go back, you need to run reports, maybe you've lost your year-end reports and you just need to generate a copy of them. So it'll take a copy of your data as at that point in time when it was created, and you can access that. Just run through a quick demo of that one as well, just to show you how you would go about accessing it. Make sure I share the right screen. So to access an archive, as I say, you can create that as part of the year-end process. So you go to File, into Open, and then you've got an option called Company Archive. So give it a click. It'll list any archives that you've already got created. Now, this is an option that was first introduced in version 9, so it's been around for quite some time now. So if you've been using Sage for a long time, you may have a number of those listed. And all you'd need to do to access that archive, select the relevant one on the list. So in this case, I've got a set of data for my financial year covering 2021. I can highlight that, click Open, and then it's going to prompt me to log into that company. So I'll just log in as normal, if I can spell manager that is. Now, one of the tips I would quickly mention on the logon is that it will be your password as per what it was at the time. So it's not your current password, it's whatever it was at the time. So it means I can get in, I can see customers, I can see suppliers, they've got the balances, I can go into the records. And probably most importantly, I can go in and I can run reports based on the data as it stood at that point in time. So nice and easy to access, and also a fab resource as well. There is, as part of obviously the various webinars we run as well, you'll see that in the, I think it's in the year-end webinar that we often run. Right, let's go back to our slides. So question 2 was a true or false. So true or false, you cannot enter transactions into a new financial year without running your financial year end. So the question there is basically, once you've hit that year end date, can you enter transactions beyond that? So it's almost like a double negative as well, saying you cannot. So the answer is false. You can. You just continue as normal. You don't need to do anything other than just continue as normal. You will get the odd prompt here and there saying that you've entered a date beyond the end of your financial year, but that's absolutely fine. And on that message, you will find you get a little tick box as well. So you can pause that message to save you having to click it every time. It can get a little bit frustrating after a little while, that one, if you keep seeing it. So just continue as normal. You come back to run the year end whenever you're ready. So 91% of you said false on that one. Moving on to question 3. So question 3 is all about lock date. So lock date can prevent users backdating transactions. So it's a really simple option, this one as well. I'll try and give you an example of where you would access this as well. But which menu would you use to set this up? Now, the vast majority of you there did vote for settings. And yes, on the settings menu, you will find the lock date option. But also, for those of you that may be more familiar, where I think it was 36% of you voted for the tools menu, you're not wrong on that one, because via the tools menu, you can access period end and then month end and year end. And lock date can be set in the 3 areas. So let's just quickly have a look at that. Let's quickly share my screen again. So what we're looking for, I think initially settings, and you've got your lock date option. Lock date, as I mentioned, really simple option. You just need to switch it on. I'm in an archive, so let's go back to my live data, that would help. Nearly caught myself out there. So if we go into settings, down to lock date, so it's a little tick box whether you want it switched on or not, and also you can enter a date in there as well. As I say, you've also got the option on tools, period end, you'll find it in the month end option. So prevent new transactions being posted before this date. And also, if you might be more familiar with it in this area, period end, year end, and you've got the lock date here as well. So all 3 relate to the same option. So nearly everyone sort of got that one right, whether you voted for settings or tools. Again, there is the detailed webinar on that one. So if you're not sure and you want to learn more about it, do check that one out as well. Right, on to question 4. So question 4 was a true or false. You must run a clear audit trail after running your year end. So true or false? The answer to that one is false. You do not have to run a clear audit trail. It is an option. It's an optional task. It can be beneficial. It can help you to remove all the transactions, but it's something that you don't have to do. Running a year end and then clearing audit trail, that's probably the most common time to run a clear audit trail if you are going to run one, but it is an optional task, so you don't have to. Question 5, so last question of round 1, is how many transactions are needed to activate the data management tool? Now, this is where Jackie asked you to pop a guess. So I think that ranged from anything from Danny saying not a Scooby up to 1 million. So the answer to this one is 200,000. So the recommended sort of transaction sort of upper limit, I suppose, is about 250,000. So when you hit 80% of that, 200,000, if you've got version 28.1 installed, the new data management tool will appear automatically, and that's when it would start encouraging you, and it works for other areas as well, but it would start encouraging you to say, right, you're sort of reaching the sort of getting towards the maximum number of records or the recommended number of transactions that you can enter. And that's maybe where you would then start looking at things like clear audit trail. Right, so that's, hopefully you did quite well on that. So I don't think anyone got it exact there. We have got a good scan through the questions. Not really anyone any close to that one. Right, okay, going to move on now, and we're going to move on to round 2, which is all about Jackie's favourite topic, VAT. So again, I've got 4 questions. I'll run through the questions and then we'll hand back to Jackie and she can run you through the answers. So question 1, or question number 6. Let me just bring that one up. So question 6, when was Making Tax Digital rolled out to businesses exceeding the £85,000 VAT threshold? Was it April 2022, April 2021, November 2022, or April 2019? So I'm assuming most of you in today's session will be probably based in the UK and you'll be VAT registered, so something that you may be aware of. There's a good chance I think you will be aware of this one. Again, we'll just wait till a decent percentage of voted, popped in your answer, and then we'll close that poll off. Excellent. Okay. So I'll just close that poll. I'll share the results with you, just so you can see what everyone's voted for. So just under half of you voting for April 2019. So you'll need to wait and Jackie will reveal the answers in just a few minutes. Moving on, we'll pick up on our next question. So if you're on standard VAT, what happens if you need to delete a customer invoice or a sales invoice, which has been included in your VAT return? So a sales invoice which has been VAT reconciled. What happens if you need to delete it? So is the answer, it cannot be changed once submitted to HMRC. And we are talking about the transaction itself. We're not talking about the invoice on the list. We're talking about the transaction. So it cannot be changed once submitted to HMRC. You'll need to post a manual reversal or the software will post a reversal. So what do you think? I'll just give that another 20 seconds or so to let you get your votes in. Maybe some of you are racking your brains thinking maybe between 2 of the answers. Just make sure you've understood it right. That's excellent. Okay, we'll just close that one. And again, I'll share the results. So quite a mix of answers there. So 13% of you choosing option 1, 38% choosing option 2, and then 49% of you, so just under half of you, saying that the software will post a reversal. Again, all will be revealed in just a moment. Right, let's move on to question 8. Question 8 is, how do you post a late transaction? So how do you post a late transaction after your VAT period has closed and you've submitted your return for that period? Would you post the transaction using the first date of your next VAT period? Would you post it using the exact date as per what's on the invoice? Or would you make a manual adjustment to the VAT return? Again, some of you might be sat there thinking, what did I do last time when I had a late entry? How did I enter that into my accounts? Excellent, so loads of you have voted for that one as well. So let's just close that one. And again, we'll share the results for you. So you'll see that options 1 and 2 are the most commonly, or the most popular options there. So 20% saying you would post it using the first date of the next VAT return, and 80% of you, the majority, saying you would post it using the exact date of the invoice. So again, we'll cover that in just a moment. And then the final question in this section, true or false, Let's launch that one. So true or false, box 1 of the VAT return is always 20% of box 6, and box 4 is always 20% of box 7. So true or false? Again, we've got a few comments coming through there as well. One from Margaret, not in the UK. So if you're not sure, Margaret, just have a guess. Just join in. Okay, we'll close that one as well. Let me just quickly share the results for you again. So 25% of you, so a quarter of you saying true, and 75% voting for false. Right, okay, we're going to pass back to Jackie, and she'll start running through you some of the answers.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Slight delay there, sorry. Thank you very much for that. So I'm just going to go through the answers there for round 2. Indeed, my favourite topic, VAT. So 4 questions for us to go through, and again, a couple of demonstrations there for you. So the first question was quite a timely question. We have had yet another Making Tax Digital deadline just pass us recently. So the question was, when was Making Tax Digital rolled out to businesses exceeding the £85,000 threshold? So this was a bit tricky. There was a keyword in there, the keyword being exceeding the £85,000 VAT threshold. And also, there was a couple of red herrings in there. So all of these dates are in fact Making Tax Digital deadlines. It was just picking out the right one. So April 2019 was the correct answer. So all businesses with a turnover exceeding the VAT threshold went live for the first VAT period after April 2019. April 2022, so earlier this year, it was in fact rolled out to all businesses, even those who were voluntarily registered for VAT. April 2021 was the deadline for digital links, and November 2022, so this only happened a couple of weeks ago, was when the gateway was in fact closed for manual submission. So if you are in that situation where you haven't yet done a Making Tax Digital return, make sure you check out some of the help and support we've got online, because your next return will need to be a digital return. Next, we're going to move on to question 7. So this was a quick sort of scenario-based question there around what happens if you need to delete a customer invoice or a sales invoice which has been included on your VAT return. We gave you a very specific scenario, so we have used standard VAT. So the options were, it can't be changed once submitted, or you need to post a manual reversal, or the software will post a reversal. It was in fact number 3, so the software will post a reversal for you in most cases. So I'm just going to do a really quick demonstration. There can be slight changes to that, but in most cases it will try to post the reversal for you. So I'm just going to pop onto my software, and handily I do have a invoice that has been entered, and I have done a VAT return for the period of July up to the end of September. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look at this transaction. As you can see there, it is a September transaction, and I'm going to attempt to delete that. So this invoice has been declared to HMRC. We've told HMRC that this tax has been claimed, and what we're going to do is now delete that. And if I select delete, it immediately gives me the option to reverse the transaction. So it recognises that we've declared it to HMRC. It can't just delete it and wipe any trace of it off. It needs to now post a reversal for us. So if I say yes, what you will see then is it has posted a credit note with exactly the same details, so the same date, same amount, and it also links back to the original transaction so that we can look at that for audit trail purposes. What happens then is when I come to do my VAT return for my next quarter, I'm just going to generate that now. So I need to do this for October to December. And when I calculate the return, It then looks back prior to that period to see if there's anything outstanding, which in this case there is. We've got that correction there. And what I would need to do is include that in the return to tell HMRC about that correction that I have had to make. So once that's included, HMRC are then informed of that change. So I'm just going to close out of that for the moment. We'll come back to the demonstration in just one moment. I'm just going to pop back onto the slides. Onto question 8. So very similar around VAT. How do you post a late transaction after your VAT period has closed and been submitted? So the options there were to post it using the first day of the next VAT period, post it using the exact date on the invoice, or to make a manual adjustment. So the correct answer from a Sage perspective is to use the exact date on the invoice. So if you have an invoice dated back into a prior period, we recommend to enter exactly the same as what is on the invoice that is in your hand or that you've received via email. And that so it really does reflect real life. It makes it far easier for tracing at a later date as well. And it will also help you with aging those invoices as well. So again, I'm going to demonstrate that for you. So just pop back into my demonstration data. Okay, so this would typically be more likely on suppliers. It's more likely that a supplier is going to send something out to you after the fact. So in this example, we're going to assume, which we have done, we've done our VAT return up to the end of September. We've done the VAT return, submitted it, we've paid everything, but we've now received an invoice from our supplier dated the 29th of September. So I'm just going to pop on the invoice for my supplier, Quiz Supplies. And we're going to date this the 29th September. Feels like yesterday. Time's flying. I'm just going to pop any value in here for the time being, and then I'm going to save. Okay, so similar to like I demonstrated earlier, I'm going to do VAT return for my next quarter. So I'm going to do this for October to December and then calculate. So again, what happens is it looks at October to December, but it also looks back in time prior to October to see if there's anything outstanding that needs to be declared to HMRC. As you can see, my original correction is coming through, and we also have that late entry showing in this window. So normally what you would need to do is work through this list and check, are they all corrections and are they all late entries? And once they are, you include them in the return. And then again, you're declaring that to HMRC, although it will be in the next VAT period. Okay, so that is the demonstration for that particular one there. Okay, final one I'm going to cover off for you before we go on to the final round. Question 9. True or false, box 1 of the VAT return is always 20% of box 6, and box 4 is always 20% of box 7. So this is a really interesting one. It is one that we tended to get a lot around Making Tax Digital and around domestic reverse charge when that came in for the construction industry. Box 1 will always be 20% of box 6 if you only ever use a 20% tax code. Okay, so your T1 by default is normally 20%. However, there are other tax codes in play. So you have things like your T0 for zero rated items, T2, which is your exempt items, and you may have more complicated ones like T21 and T26 for domestic reverse charge if you're in the construction industry scheme. What that means is that as soon as you start to use those codes, so T0 and T2, you start to impact box 6 with no value impacting box 1. So I'll be honest, it's very rare to see a situation where box 1 is always 20% of box 6 and where box 4 is always 20% of box 7. And that seemed to be highlighted more around domestic reverse charge. So when you are reconciling, we always say don't always rely on it being 20%, because if there's other tax codes in play other than a T1, then it will never be 20%. So in that case, it is false. Okay, so that brings us on to our final round for today's session. And today we're going to be talking all about the most recent version of your accounts software. So it ties in nicely because our next version is due for release in the new year. So if you are interested, please do check out our webinars that are coming up in January around the new features. I won't say any more because I don't want to give any answers away. But we're going to move on to question 10. And what I'd like to know is, what is the current latest version of Sage 50 accounts? So I'm just going to launch that now. Okay. So what's the current latest version of Sage 50 accounts? And again, I've thrown a few little red herrings in there to make this a little bit more complicated. So I've got 28, 28.1, 28.06, or 29. So a few of the votes just trickling through there. And I think we've got the best one so far. I'm going to share this one in just a moment. I might let Michael off the hook on this one. I think I might need to for my next question. But that's us on to 80% of the vote there. So thank you very much for that. I'm just going to close that down. So when I say the latest version, I mean what we're on right now at this point in time. Okay. So if you are watching this as a recording, we're recording this on the 10th of November. And as you can see there, a small portion saying 28.0. We've got 84% of you, 28.1. We've got a small percentage on 28.06 and a few of you on 29.0. Okay, so like I say, I think my answer to that one's going to be revealed in the next one. So I'll let Michael off the hook for that one, but he'll show you where you can find out what version you're using in the moment. So the next question is, I just launched this one. No spoilers for the answers, but in version 28.1, how many features were added as a result of requests submitted to Sage City? So if you haven't joined us this morning, we did memberships this morning and we showed a demonstration of how to access Sage City and submit your requests onto there. So if you've ever had an issue or a feature that you'd really like to change or amend, that's your place to do it. So log on to Sage City. And we also gave this number away in our version 28.1 webinars that we ran throughout the summer as well. So if you were on those, you might remember what number we quoted. And a bit of a mixed bag on this one. So I'm going to close because we're reaching 75% there. And I'll just share the results there. So like I say, bit of a mixed bag. So about 11% of you saying 10, 31% of you saying 15, 39% of you saying 22 features, and 19% of you saying 26. Excellent. Okay. Second last question, which of the following features were added to version 28.1? Now this poll should allow you to tick multiple options. So if you think there was more than one, please do pop a tick in the ones you think are relevant. Fabulous. Both coming through straight away there. So there's lots and lots of new features, and I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler. All of these are features of accounts. It's just when did they arrive in version 28? Did they arrive in version 28.1 or not? So slightly slow coming through there. I think there's a little bit of thought going into this one. Excellent. I'm coming through there. And again, a bit of a mixed bag. Let's wait for a few more votes to come through. Almost there on the 70% mark. I say I don't want to leave anyone behind. Okay, we're on 75, so I'm going to close that down there and share that for you. So like I say, a bit of a mix. So 65% is the ability to open multiple companies. 54% is batch changes. 63% is paste multiple address lines, and 72% is remember my logon details. So again, Michael will reveal all in just one moment. Okay, so it's time for our final question. Final question of the day, and then I'm just going to launch that for you there. The final one is business dashboard enhancements were added in 28.1, but what version were the business dashboards actually introduced? So was that 25, version 26, version 27, or version 28? And again, certainly not going to hold this against you if you're not sure on the answer. So please just pop in a guess, just a bit of fun today. And again, we've got a mixed bag across the board there. And if you're not sure what the dashboards are, again, it's another feature that we have done a webinar on. So please do check that one out again on our recordings page. If you haven't heard of what dashboards are, check that one out. That's us on 80% of the vote there. So I am going to close down, just share the results there. So 18% if you said 25, 32% if you said version 26, 30% version 27, and then 21% version 28. So again, bit of a mixed bag there, but all will be revealed in just one moment. So I'm going to hand you over to Michael. He is going to go through your answers and then finish up today. So thank you very much for joining us on behalf of me, but I'll leave you in the good hands of Michael for your results there.
Thanks, Jackie. Right, just trying to share my screen there at that point. Just a little bit of a delay in coming through. Right, okay, off we go. So round 3, all about the latest version. I think Jackie gave this away by some of the follow-up questions. So what is currently the latest version of Sage 50 accounts? It is 28.1. Now you can easily check this. If some of you weren't sure and you want to know how to check this, easy to check it in your software. You just need to go into help and about within your software. So let me quickly show you that one. So into the help menu at the top, choose about, it'll load your page, and then first option, your version number, 28.1. Now if you on 28.0 and you haven't installed the latest update, just click onto your home page link, and there's this panel here will enable you to download and install to get you onto the latest version. Some great features released as part of 28.1 as well. And speaking of which, if we go back to the slides, question 11, in version 28.1, how many features were added as a result of requests submitted to Sage City? So there were 22. So we like to get you as involved as much as possible these days in the development of the software. What do you need to see? What changes do you want to see? What features would make your life that little bit easier? So there's some 22 of the submissions that were made via Sage City, and then Jackie mentioned you can get involved with that if you wish to. Nice and easy to access as well. So if you've got anything you've thought of yourself that you would like to see maybe changed in a future version, or maybe a big feature, it could be this very small feature, just the order that you complete the process in, let us know. If you are wanting to submit via Sage City, nice and easy to access. Again, from that home page, which I'm going to refer to a few times, it's just in this section with the answers. All you need to do on your home page, just scroll down. You've got your roadmap link, give it a click. And on the browser page that comes up, just need to scroll down a little bit, and in the Have Your Say section, you can click the option to submit an idea. You can also see what everyone else has submitted as well. You can vote on those options if you want to get involved. So as we mentioned, 22 features in 28.1 were added as a result of those suggestions. On to question 12. Which of the following features were added to version 28.1? So almost a bit of a trick question, because all these features are available. 3 of them were added into version 28.1, so the ability to open multiple companies simultaneously. So if you're an accountant, bookkeeper, or maybe you're just a business that's got multiple companies, you can actually have them open at the same time. You don't need to necessarily switch or close one down to then access another company. Great for comparison. Or if you're mainly working in a specific company, you've got a quick query from maybe one of your clients on another company, you can easily access it without closing the other one down. Batch changes wasn't added into 28.1. That's been around for quite some time. Now, batch changes, if some of you aren't familiar with batch changes, great feature, but it isn't available in the essentials level of the software. That's something to be aware of. Second option on the list there that was added, really positive feedback on this one as well, the ability to post multiple address lines into your records. So if you've received an email, maybe from a new customer, you can highlight their address and then you have a paste option and it'll split the address between the various lines. So again, just making it that little bit quicker. And also remember my logon details as well. So we've added a new little checkbox to the logon screen. So as you log in, you can tick that box just to say, right, remember my logon details. So when I come in next time, just automatically log me in. Obviously, we'd only encourage you to use that if it's only yourself using a specific PC, because it does hold that as part of your Windows registry settings, that one. That can be switched on and off at any point. And again, good little time saver, that one. Right, I think this was the final question, question 13. Business dashboard enhancements were added in version 28.1. So again, as part of the 22 enhancements that were added, what people were asking for, there were quite a few of those enhancements to the dashboard. But in what version was the business dashboard first introduced? Version 25, 26, 27, or 28? Well, the business dashboard may be one that you've not heard of because it is only available if you're using 28 or 28.1. We recently ran a webinar on that one, so if you want to find out more about it, but let me quickly point you in the right direction. So I'll quickly share my screen. If you are on 28 or 28.1, just on your toolbar, down the left-hand side there, you've got the business dashboard option. You can create your own, but there are 3 that are set up by default, just in case of selecting them, and choose the option to create your selected dashboards. Really simple. You can set those up, you can share them with your colleagues, you can pick and choose what information you want to show as well. So if you want more of a dashboard view of your accounts, rather than having to drill into the various areas, do have a good look at that dashboard option. Again, really positive feedback from that one. When we ran that webinar recently, most people had never heard of it, but by the time we'd finished that webinar, most people did say and indicate that they were going to give that one a go. Right, now let's pop back to the slides. So that brings us to the end of the quiz. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've maybe given you a little bit of food for thought, maybe some areas that you weren't familiar with, others that you were. There's loads of great content available via the webinars, and we've got some great topics coming up as well. So I'll be very interested to hear what you thought about the quiz style of the webinar as well. So if you've got any feedback, as you leave today's session, there is an opportunity to fill in a little survey. So if you've got any thoughts that you'd like to share with us, please take a minute to complete that. Some of the upcoming webinars, again, based on requests, a lot of these, so we're going to be covering a lot more on the VAT side. So when we run webinars recently, lots of questions coming in about which tax code should I use for this, how it is impacted by Brexit. We'll be looking at CIS, month end, loads of requests. People want to learn more about the reporting within Sage Accounts as well. So again, we'll be starting to introduce more sessions on the report design side. If you are interested, watch out for your follow-up email and it will include the links that you need to get yourself registered. Also, a quick plug for Sage membership as well. If you've attended any webinars recently, you may have heard a little bit about Sage membership. Again, maybe some of you were on a webinar this morning learning more about Sage membership. Sage membership brings together a number of key options. So access to Sage University, Sage City, and also the Sage Masterclass webinars that we've been running as well. If you want to access if you are interested in viewing the Masterclass videos, again, just head along to sage.com/UK/masterclass. So these are videos helping you to, I suppose, develop your business, look after your employees, increase productivity within your business as well. So all about more running your business than your software itself. So approaching it from a slightly different angle. And that brings us to the end of the session. So once again, hope you've enjoyed it. A little bit of a different format for you all today, so a little bit of fun. Again, that short exit survey will pop up as you leave today. If you can take a minute to provide any feedback, thoughts, ideas, anything you'd like to share with us, please do that. And your follow-up email should be with you in round about an hour's time. Obviously, it'll include the links that you need to access recordings and also enabling you to register for live sessions as well. All free to attend, of course. So it just leaves me to thank you from myself, from Jackie, and also from Tina, who's been on hand answering your questions today. And we hope to see you on some other webinars soon. Many thanks.